does a successful entrepreneur think? Hey there, Enterprisers, what's good? It's Jason Ligo here again. And in this video, I want to share with you how to think like a successful entrepreneur. That's right, how to think like a successful entrepreneur, okay? Now, if you're in business for any amount of time, you've probably wondered and probably seen and noticed that basically there's a certain mindset that it seems like that all these successful entrepreneurs have in different industries. And so, like many of you, I'm sure many of you have done, I have delved into my own personal study into several and many of these success stories, business magnates, gurus, icons, whatever you want to call them. And I have certainly found my fair share of similarities across the board in a lot of them. And while I'm sure that there are some variances here and there, it seems like these have been the resounding themes. And so that's what I want to share with you today, is just kind of give you the top 3 themes that I have seen the most successful think like, very similar thought patterns. And I promise you that if you adapt these to yourself, if you haven't already, or if you're not already doing this, they could mean the difference between success and failure, or at least more success and less failure if you apply them right. So let's dive right in. How does a successful entrepreneur think? Let's go. Number 1, opportunities, not obstacles. Opportunities, not obstacles. Okay, now this is very easy to say, but harder to do, right? And the reality is you've probably been in many situations where you wanted to do something, but it just seems like every time that you tried to proceed in this endeavor, you always had doors being shut in your face, okay? Or maybe you've seen some things that have been less than favorable in terms of wanting to move forward with a certain project, and it just wasn't happening, and the stars weren't aligning in the way that you wanted it to. With that said, however, there is something to be said about having the mindset where you look at a situation like that and say, you know what, this is not an obstacle, this is an opportunity. This is where things like your creativity and problem solving and just kind of resourcefulness, these characteristics and these traits begin to manifest and begin to grow and begin to show forth. And so if you can have this mindset, if you can have this attitude that no matter what comes at you, it's not an obstacle, it's an opportunity, I really think that this is characteristic of a good quality entrepreneur. One of the main examples where I see this in prominently, the particular industry is real estate investing. A lot of you know I'm a real estate investor and have been for a while, but this would be the perfect example of opportunity, not obstacles. A lot of the times if you are a novice or a newbie in the real estate investing game, you kind of think, okay, I want to find something that is, if I want to buy and flip a house or buy a house to rehab and repair and rent out, for instance, I want to go ahead and look for something that just has mild cosmetic, it just needs a little bit of cosmetic TLC. When the reality is, a lot of the times, any experienced real estate investor will tell you that the uglier the property, the more condemnable, the more run down, the nastier it is, that actually spells the biggest opportunity in terms of profit margin, for the real estate investor. And yet you and I, most people, again, if you're new to this, the naked eye kind of sees the uglier house like, okay, this is a huge project, this is just an obstacle, I'm not going to go ahead and move forward with this, it's not worth my time. But again, a seasoned entrepreneur in the real estate field will say, you know what, if it's nasty and ugly, that's actually a very, very good and hot opportunity for me to hop on, because I know it has the potential to pay me a very large profit. So just things like that. And in your entrepreneurial journey, I don't need to tell you that you're gonna experience obstacles, okay? But I just want to caution you and encourage you as you move forward in these, consider them not obstacles, but rather opportunities, and I promise it'll help you out. Number 2, setups, not setbacks. Setups, not setbacks, okay? Now, in business and in life, you're gonna experience what you might call a setback, okay? Again, doors shut in your face on wanting to pursue something, and all of a sudden things don't work out for you the way that you want it to, okay? You might, find yourself, maybe your patent is not approved at the time that you wanted to, or maybe you wanted to get a certain type of licensing and it fell through, or you wanted to get a certain permit for your business and it fell through, and then these are setbacks that you will experience, okay? But you want to train your mind to think that these are not setbacks, but rather set-ups in terms of you moving forward and becoming successful, okay? So what's a good way to look at this and consider this? Again, I mentioned a lot of different examples wherein maybe you didn't get a permit approved, or your website is clunky, or whatever the case is. But now, instead of looking at it as a setback, consider it a setup for the future, okay? Because what happens if you play your cards right, and if you pay attention to the bigger picture, you now are gaining experience. You now are gaining an education. There's a knowledge that you're now acquiring thinking because you've gone through this experience. And so you now know for the future. Does that make sense? If you can just consider this is a setup for future successes. Maybe not in the same arena, although that could definitely be the case. But for the future, you are now setting yourself up for success because you're not going to walk down this road again, okay? And if you do walk down a similar road, it's not going to be 100% alike. And there will be nuances and there'll be differentiation between the two. But you know that because you have the experience and you've gone through it and you've come out and you've been able to overcome, it'll be just fine, right? And that's always the case with setbacks. Whenever you have a setback, they never stop you, right? Or at least they never should, okay? If you just stick with it and continue to do what's necessary, you get the thing approved, you continue to move forward, you just, you appeal the decision. Again, it always works out, okay? And again, you're using it as a setup for the future success because now you got the knowledge on what it takes. Oftentimes what happens in situations like these is that you meet somebody who is instrumental in you overcoming the obstacle. You meet someone, maybe you make a contact who is like, they're a property appraiser, or they're an engineer, or they're, a politician, or just someone who can help you alleviate the situation or give you insider knowledge or give you some kind of assistance. And now if you play your cards right and you nurture that relationship, you can call upon that person in the future and it can be absolutely mutual beneficial to everyone everyone around the table, okay? This is the ideal situation. So just remember, if you experience a setback, hey, it's not a setback, it's a setup for future success. Number 3, and finally, and this is probably my favorite, collaboration, not competition. Okay, collaboration, not competition. And I could name you several. Many, in fact, entrepreneurs who are successful who will say this exact one thing. You definitely have those who are bent on competition and love it. And even me personally, I love healthy competition. However, you're going to find many who are saying, you know what? Working together and collaborating is the way to go, okay? One of the biggest people that I can name who has this mentality is Grant Cardone. And if you look at Grant Cardone, I mean, his reputation precedes him, right? You know what Grant Cardone does. You know who Grant Cardone is. And one of my mentors that I have looked to had spent some time with him and asked him, and he shared it with us. He said, what would you tell your younger self? Or what is one maybe thing you wish you knew ahead of time, that you think would help you shortcut your success or fast track your success or even double it? And this is exactly what Grant Cardone said. Collaboration, not competition. And he's so right. You know what I mean? There's just so much out there where, yes, you do have to pull your own weight and you got to do your own thing, but there's so much to go around. And this is the exact knowledge and the exact bit of information and advice that I would give to anyone who's struggling and just starting out. Because oftentimes, if you're new at something, especially in the internet marketing and internet online business game, it's almost like, okay, I'm a nobody. I don't have any resources, any credibility. How can I even begin to make a dent in this vast multi-billion, multi-trillion-dollar industry? And the reality is you don't have to. You don't have to make a dent. All you have to do is latch on to the right people. All you have to do is serve the right people and work with the right people, connect with the right people, and you will be surprised at how many different opportunities there are by way of joint venture, by way of affiliates, by way of just all kinds of collaborative, teamwork-based opportunities where everyone can do well, okay? I personally believe this wholeheartedly. And so even now that I'm embarking on some new projects, I got some really cool, exciting things coming down the pipe that I'll be sharing with you in the future. Software and different programs. The internet marketing space is full of this type of stuff. And yet, as I continue to launch these things, have I experienced a little bit of hesitation? Yeah, sure. But more often than not, I'm actually more excited about it because I don't see myself as trying to compete with some of these big names. I'm not necessarily trying to compete with everyone. I'm not trying to take down the big guy. I'm not trying to disrupt the industry per se. I'm just trying to carve out my piece. And I know that even if I have something that is very similar to what someone else has, there's a way around it, right? There's a way to work together. There's a way to make sure that we're all collaborating as opposed to competing. And everyone can benefit from that. All right, there you have it, my friends. Listen, I hope that you got some value out of this, all right? These are 3 different ways, a little bit different, right? But these are 3 different ways that you can go about your thought process so that you can think like a successful entrepreneur. And I promise you, if you do your homework and research into whoever it is that you follow, whatever big name, big success you like, I can promise you, you'll find some of these principles in their method of thinking. I can almost guarantee you that. Now, give me a like, give me a comment, all right? Share this video to someone who you think will benefit from it. But most importantly, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell. That way you don't miss out on any more hot new content that I got coming down the pipe just for you. On top of that, if you hadn't had a chance yet, go ahead and download the easiest and the simplest and best online course there is today. in learning how to set up your own wildly profitable online business, and you can do it in literally record speed overnight practically, okay? Go to thedigitalfreedomshortcut.com. It is my course. It's ridiculous how much value you get in this for what I'm charging for it, okay? This is exactly what I have done to get started. You watch over my shoulder as I set up campaigns and show you how to do this on a shoestring budget, okay? Go ahead and click on that link below, and I'd be happy to help you get started, all right? All right, my friends, I'll see you next time. Take care. Peace.